Hello everyone and welcome back to another tutorial. This one is going to be about the jump with land prediction like in the Assassin's Creed. So you can jump between the beams, and you're also able to select which animation you're going to want the character to be playing, which foot that is going to be landed on the beam. That's it. You can also jump between across the map, like so. Like the jump is very accurate. So you run several checks before you can jump. Now I'm gonna show you how I've did everything. So firstly, here on the third person character, I have to check if the player is grounded. But before that, I call an event which is attached to the jump input of the character. Now I also call the event if I press the left mouse button. So the first thing I do is to check. So the first thing I do is to check if the player is grounded. So the way I do that is I get the socket location, which is basically this bone right here. It's below the character. It's right on the foot. So that's why I think it's better to get the root bone socket. So I add a little bit of forward location to that, over to that location. I add a little bit of radius, and that's basically it. So here I check if the player is playing the montage. So in case it's false, then I launch a projectile path by object type. So what this does is it launches several sphere traces, and you can choose which direction you want it to be at. If you want to go up, you can do 7, and it's going to go up. I choose it to be -5 because you can, if the character is right over here, then you can detect the target point right here, right? So that's why I chose it to go down, and it's very good. I like this code. I like this function a lot. It's very useful. And here I just calculate where the location is going to be at. So I add a little bit of forward momentum, forward location of it. Because if I add 1, the sphere trace is going to detect the current target point. So I don't want that. So that's why I choose it to be 200. And that's pretty much it. Now I have the get active forward vector, which is multiplied by 44. If you add it to be 122, it's like the sphere traces are going to be a lot. It is going to reach more, but they're going to be a little bit more separated. But I guess the right value is 44. You can also use it to be, you can also choose to be 10, just to show you what it looks like. So I guess the right value for me is 44. So I can choose the launch velocity. Now you also have these other settings here. I don't touch them because right now it's what I need. But you can also feel free to tweak them and see which one works better for you. So if the sphere trace hits something like it does right here, so if it turns red, or you can follow up the code, but if it doesn't, I just make the character to jump. And this is just optional, by the way. Because if as I call that event to check the possible target points where the character can land on. If I press the space bar, the character wouldn't do anything if the sphere trace didn't detect anything, any target point, right? So I just make the character to jump if the detection fails. Now we also have the debug. This debug here just places a squarish point, as you can see there, orange squarish point, just to detect where exactly the target point is. That's just for that. I promote the land predict target location to a variable. I promote the location of where you hit, so that we can use it here to decide where exactly you want to make our character to be at when you land. And I also have another option to debug, which is to display the distance from target, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot. So when you jump and detect something, wait, let me see. As you can see, we have a lot of distances. This one that I'm going to currently jump at is 269. And these other ones are very far away. So you can basically see what is the distance of them, which is pretty cool as well. And now here I use the variable that I've got from here, that I've promoted. So I basically get this and split that structure so that I can get this. But I can also do drag off this and break the hit result. It's the same thing, just to keep things organized. You can do this. It's the same thing. So here I basically get the jump prediction point variable. It's an array. And that array contains all the references of the target points that are currently in the level. So I basically store that array as soon as the game begins. So I get all actors of a class. I reference my jump prediction class. And you have to reference the right one here. So that it populates my array. I do a for each loop. So depending on the amount of target points you place on your level, we're going to have a different amount on the jump prediction point. So if you want to find out what is the amount, you do length. So you get the number of items in an array. And if you do event tick and then print that to see what is the value, you're going to find out what is how many target points you have in your level. So as soon as you press play, you get 15. So that's the amount of target points that I have on my level. All right, that's about it. So as soon as my game begins, that array is populated. So that we have the solid reference here. So what I want to do here is basically see if I can detect with my sphere trace some of these jump prediction points that are across the map. And then what I do is just I try to do a for each loop to detect, to go through all the target points that are currently on the level and to see if that target point is equal to the one that my sphere trace hits. It is equal to the one that my sphere trace hit, right? And I do it once because I don't want to execute a lot of times. And here on the, so yeah, I get the jump length type, which is a variable that is inside of there that I've created over here. And I do select an animation to play, a different montage to play, depending on which enumerator value that is set in that specific actor. So how you specify that, you just choose it here. So if you want to play an animation that has that the character executes an action of jumping and landing with 1 foot, you can select it here, or if you want to, you can select it here too. So depending on which value we select here, that is going to switch the montage to be playing. And we're going to be able to like choose which animation montage we want to play depending on the value that we set in here, basically. So we're going to grab the value that we just set in here, and we're going to play the montage. We also have the flip-flop. The reason why I use this flip-flop because we have different animation montages, but it's the same. The only difference is that I have one animation montage that the character jumps. It starts with the right foot, and the other one, it starts with the right foot. The left, yeah, it starts with the left foot, and this one starts with the right foot. So there is a difference there. So as I want to switch between, like, I want to play animation that the character plays the left foot animation first, and then the right one, and then subsequently keep doing the same thing again and over and over and again, over and over again. So what I want to do is just want to grab a flip-flop that is going to be switching between these animations here, and they're going to be setting And they're going to be switching along the way as soon as this code execution executes once. And then after the second time that executes again, then it's going to go to B, and then we can play the montage again. We can play a different montage. So they're going to be switching over and over again. And as soon as the montage plays, we're going to set the actor rotation to the target point. And so that's the code to do it. I get my actor current location, and I get the land predict target location to find the look-at rotation. And then as I want to only rotate my character on the z-axis, I only get that. And then if I want to, as I want to maintain on the x, y, I just plug that in there. And here on the character movement, I set the movement mode to be flying and the capsule component to be no collision. So the flying mode is because as we're going to play a montage that the character is going to be in the air, the character has to be flying. So as the character movement component, like it defines how the character movement should behave, we should set it to flying so that this component can understand that the character is in the air. That's basically it. So we have the notify begin. I have placed a notify window right over here. Where is it? 1 foot, 2 foot. So as soon as the character almost takes off, then when it lands, I do adjust this sometimes, but you just have to find a perfect starting point for placing this notifies here. Let me see if I do it too much earlier. If I do it too much early, this is what's going to happen. The character is going to slide at the beginning too much, and I don't want that. And if it does too late, the character is just going to take longer to correct the right position of where the character should be at, right? Because as the distance is dynamic, like you don't know how you're going to, you don't know, like the distance is unpredictable. Like the character plays a montage and the distance can vary a lot. So what I do is just I start running the timeline. Sorry. Yeah, I start running the timeline as soon as this notify begins. Sorry, as soon as this notify begin execution pin starts to be executed, to basically make it so that the timeline can start correcting the position of the character, start correcting the position of the character as where he should be. That's the best way I can explain it. And here so we have different target points. Firstly, we have the current location of where the character is, and the target B vector, which is the target location of where the character should be at. We do a calculation here, and we can also set the height offset. Maybe you want the character to be a little bit higher than usual, as you can see there. You can give a little bit of impulse, or maybe a forward impulse, as you prefer. So the character is going to have a little bit of impulse when doing certain actions. So here, just get the current montage that is being played and see if I'm playing one of the jump with 1 foot animations. And if I do, I just basically select the custom height offset or forward offset for playing the animation. And that's going to allow me to have like dynamic control of how each offset is is done. So you can basically like fix forward or height location bugs as soon as you land on the target point. And that's basically it. And now, as soon as the character finishes completing the animation montage, we do set the collision of the character back to normal, and the character movement is back to be falling again. And then I stop the timeline. So I also stop the timeline when the notify ends. So you gotta be kind of careful with that. So when the timeline ends, that means that it stops correcting the land position of the character. And that's basically what it is for. So I think I've gone through everything. If you have any questions, you can comment down below. And I see you in the next one. Bye bye.